All right, prices are really kicking off for later Scarlet Violet sets. So Surging Sparks, Twilight Masquerade, and Stellar Crown all reached new highs. And yeah, you're seeing like just a lot of price increases recently. Like Surging Sparks has been like just 5 straight days of price rises. It made that big rise to 280, and now it's already to 310. Heading toward I think probably around 320 or 315. Twilight has been rising steadily. See, our Stellar Crown over here has been rising steadily, 255 all the way to 265. I think it's going toward, I have these written down somewhere, toward 275. And Twilight might be heading toward $350. This one has just kind of started rising recently. But yeah, it's up 5, Stellar up 4, Surging up 10. So let's go over what I mean by this. So Surging Sparks, pretty one of the obvious buys, one of the better like main sets of the era. Selling about 6 per day, and you just look at the price ladder and people are done like offloading a bunch. So you see the supply start to increase around 320, maybe like 318. It's not quite there, so it's definitely heading toward like 315, 320 territory. Maybe more if people buy it all up. Twilight Masquerade at 330. I've been talking about how like Twilight Masquerade has been really solid. Like I remember seeing like bars like this before sold like every few days. Now it's like very concentrated. And you do see the big price rise over here to 350. So some of these boxes they had like supply issues, like Moby's Corner. I think another like Juice Gaming Galaxy had a bunch of supply, and that's being bought up. Juice Gaming Galaxy only has 2 now, and with the only big seller being Moby's Corner having 11 boxes, it's pretty easy to get up to these higher price points of about 350. Every other seller wants to sell about one, like kind of reminds me of Destin Rivals a little bit, where like there's like one undercutter, but everyone else is like, no, I want this, I want way more money for this, it's worth more. So this is heading toward 350. Everyone knows about the Greninja. Twilight has been kind of sleeping because people have been fearing reprints, but I think the fear of reprints is kind of going away a little bit. And even if we do get reprints, people are like, it's probably not gonna be enough. For Stellar Crown, this has been steadily rising. And yeah, this is at 266. Sold 4 yesterday, 1 today, and I'm looking at the price rises. There's not a lot of boxes available. All these sellers only have 1, except for I guess the seller's 2, and then this one at 277 has 7. Otherwise, it's very clearly heading toward 270 because there's just not enough supply available. Stellar Crown, I feel like it just had really good timing. Had enough good cards with the Squirtle and Bulbasaur. Came out when Surging Sparks was too expensive. People were like, I'll buy Stellar Crown. It's still cheap. So people, it's kind of honestly, if you wanted just a semi-enjoyable opening experience, I'd probably open Stellar Crown myself because Squirtle and Bulbasaur, like at least you get something. They're not the hardest things to pull. Paradox Rift, this is also heading toward a 270. So I didn't really notice this, but there's only one left at 262, and then this is heading straight toward 270. A lot of supply issues are kind of gone. The higher supply Moby Corner is at 7 over here, so it could head easily to 280. Paradox, I think, is finally about to rise. It seems like the only sets being ignored right now are the first 3 sets of Scarlet Violet. The other sets are really taking off. Like we don't know if Destin Rivals is doing well. Even During Together is having an uptake. So it's just the first 3 sets for some reason. Temporal reached 260 yesterday. Force yesterday, and it's always had a decent price tag. It gets to 270. So this usually not as many buyouts happening for Temporal, but it just goes up slowly and steadily. And there's only 1 box for almost all the sellers except for Wasteland Gaming here at 5 at 275. And yeah, the slower boxes, Scarlet Violet base sold 0 yesterday, 3 today. The price tag just isn't as good. It could go to like 2. I guess like no, there's 10 boxes here. Otherwise, it could go to like 256, 260. But there's just a little bit of supply for it. Paldea Evolve 0 so yesterday. I think it's just gonna remain stagnant for a while, like it did before, and then rise later. It's just all the other boxes trying to catch up. Obsidian Flames, so it got back to like 335 yesterday. 2 sold yesterday. Prices are still pretty stagnant around it, so all the interest is kind of more around the later sets after the first 3. Alright, what's going on with Sword and Shield? So I mentioned before how Scarlet Violet's what's taking off, and Sword and Shield's been pretty stagnant right now. But right now, I've always like Sword and Shield is kind of like you're in opportunity buying mode. If you want Sword and Shields, look for the opportunities now that everything's like slow and steady, and there will be some cheaper boxes available. Right now, like Vomit Skies, I'm also seeing which ones are like sometimes possibly gonna move despite all these slowdowns. Like Evolving Skies, the man like went up quite a bit, concentrated sales, more buying activity, and now it's slowed down for 2 days, so we'll see if that continues. Boxes are still around 2700 right now. So yeah, volumes guys around the same price as yesterday, but you do see some changes. Like Fusion Strike drops $38 yesterday. So there's one box left. There's one box available at this from a pretty well, high rated seller. Otherwise, boxes are still around 1050, and I think I counted earlier. I think it's still like the same number of boxes until 1100. So Fusion Strike has just been pretty steady. No boxes sold yesterday. But it's been way more steady than like Lost Origin, which like you can't even see like the $900 goal anymore, or even 850 is no longer on the screen. All the boxes are around $800 now. So Lost Origin historically, it's kind of stagnated like that for a while. Brilliant Stars, there was a cheaper seller available, and then now it's kind of back to about 520. More of the boxes are usually hover around 550, so sometimes you can get like some cheaper sales over here. And there hasn't been any sales for like 2 days. A lot of the other boxes have really dropped off in demand. Like Silver Tempest over here, no sales since September 17th, so three straight days without sales. Prices are kind of fine. They're still around like 470, but yeah, a slowdown there. Chilling Rain has been really slow, no sales since September 10th. That also commonly happened to Chilling Rain, just demand kind of drops off. It's also another reason why sometimes it's more better to just get one of the better sets, just because it'll be a little less stressful, to be honest. And then Astral Radius, yeah, no sales since September 12th. It's down to 403. It really has a good price ladder, but yeah, there's another seller over here just putting a cheap box available. So some people will pick up these deals. If it's not you, someone else will, and then you'll see these prices rise again the next bull run. But yeah, Astral's up 7. Brilliant Stars up 22 with that. Chilling Rain down 3. Battle Size down 5. Sword and Shield base keeps rising for some reason. Like it's been in the 600s before, but it keeps rising even though there's no sales. So that only tells me maybe people are making side deals or they're delisting on TCG Player for some reason. Vivid Voltage went down about $5. Yeah, for early Sword and Shield, yeah, Sword and Shield base, no sale. Only this one random sale, but the price went down to 500 and no one bought it, supposedly. I don't really know what's happening on the price here. Rebel Clash, no sales since December 16th. Darkness Ablaze, it's been selling like every other day. Vivid Voltage took a break yesterday. Yeah, it's been pretty stagnant. And then Battle Style still just hovering like barely at $300. Zero sold yesterday. All right, PC2B market manipulation fails, question mark. So this, if you were keeping up with some of the PC2B market, you know that these went to $1,000, probably around this big buyout. So it's been like about half a month since then. It's literally been about 2 weeks since then. This has no sales and it's been around $400, and finally I sold one for around $319. It's pretty funny when you look at the price chart because people bought out all the ones they bought some of the cheaper ones for like around $300, and then a little bit more than that, and then you see it jump from like 350, 400, 450, 600 to 319. So one finally sold, so maybe that's the appropriate price. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it's kind of like it hasn't really paid off quite yet. This big buyout, and then it's the same price as this one over here. This has had a few more sales, but this kind of dropped a little more quickly. There is a big rise back up to 400. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, not a lot of sales, not as much interest after that buyouts. I'm still seeing that Paldea Evolved PC2Bs have had really bad demand. So no sales since December 10th. Just very stagnant, not as much interest in it. Versus Obsidian Flames is still selling pretty much every day or every other day. So I'm still seeing that prices are still pretty stable. I just think people like that Charizard promo, Charmander promo way better, but Paldea Evolved has the better packs, so you're kind of not really sure which one to get at that point. Paradox Rift seeing a little more demand, not this one. This one's seeing just, sales every few days. But this one over here, this Iron Valiant, I think, yeah, it's had a few more sales after being pretty stagnant earlier in the month. Temporal Forces, a few sales recently for this Iron Leaves one, but nothing too crazy. Walking Wake, still selling like every 3 or 4 days. And then Twilight took a big drop in demand, like no sales for like 3 days for Twilight ETBs. The demand was like pretty good. It dropped a little bit. Now it's just been pretty stagnant around 250 or 240. Stellar Crown has been usually pretty lackluster in demand. No sales in the last few days. Surging Sparks demand is still pretty good, especially with Surging Sparks prices rising recently. Price is still around 310, but it's selling like 1 to 2 per day a lot of times. Still eyeing the price rise, kind of like 320s, 330s. Demand's just been pretty decent for it. And then Shroud Fable, no sales in the last 2 days. Yeah, demand has dropped off for this one as well. And I mentioned the price isn't much higher than before the big buyout where someone bought like 43. That wraps things up for this video. I hope you walked away with a better understanding of the market. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more deep dives in the Pokemon market. Tell me what's the next big investment you're considering in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you all later.